the end of another month here in 2020, which means it's time for another reading wrap up. So let's dive on in. I managed to read 7 books this month. The first one that I started with was To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini, which comes out this month actually, September. It comes out on the 15th. I was able to get an arc of it through my job at Barnes & Noble, and so I was able to read it before it came out. I no longer have it because I gave it to my sister because I knew that she would enjoy it too, so hopefully she'll be reading it, we'll see. I gave it 5 stars because I've always liked Christopher Paolini's work and his writing, and you give me a sci-fi book written by him and I love it because I love sci-fi. I thought it was really well done. I thought that the storyline was really interesting and the characters were just really fleshed out, and I liked just the general plot and how the pacing worked, and so I gave that one 5 stars because I thought that it was really good. The next book that I read was yet another arc of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by Victoria Schwab. This one comes out in October, and I have already ordered my copy of it through Owl Crate because they're doing an exclusive box with tons of goodies and a gorgeous version of it. Super excited. This was another 5-star read. VE/Victoria Schwab is another one of my favorite authors, and so whenever I hear that she has another book coming out, I pretty much jump on it right away. I have yet to read a book of hers that I have not liked. I really enjoyed the story of somebody who wishes to be happy and makes a wish, and then the way that happens is that just nobody in her life remembers her until the day that she meets somebody who does, and how their stories how their stories connect and how they change each other's lives. And I think that it is just a beautiful, beautiful story, and I loved it so much. Then I read Midnight Sun, which I loved way more than I thought I would. It was yet another 5-star read from me. I really did enjoy getting to read Twilight from Edward's point of view, and I thought that it was really interesting to get another side to the story, and I honestly would not be upset if Stephanie Meyer decided to do the entire Twilight series from Edward's point of view. I would definitely buy every single one of the books. So if you have not read Midnight Sun yet, you should pick it up because it's surprisingly good. After Midnight Sun, I read Warrior of the Wild, which was one that I've had on my shelves for a while and just haven't actually gotten around to reading, but I was really excited for it because I've always liked the Vikings and stuff like that, and so having a Viking-inspired novel was really cool. I've read The Sky and the Deep by Adrienne Young, and I absolutely loved that, so having another one that's sort of similar was really cool. This was yet another 5-star read. Again, I just loved the characters, I loved the plot, I loved the world building, and I just thought that it was a gorgeous story, and also a gorgeous cover, which never hurts. So I was really excited that this one lived up to my expectations of it so well. Next one I read was Neverworld Wake, which is like a young adult kind of thriller where a group of friends get in a car accident and then they're stuck in this Neverworld, and they have to vote at the end of the day to decide who's going to survive, and until they have a unanimous decision, they just keep reliving their same day over and over and over again, and it's really interesting because they're all young. They're a year out of high school, and so they're still young, they're kind of immature, they're trying to figure out who they are, but they also have this gigantic decision that they have to make, which is which one of them is going to survive and who are going to be the 5 or 6 that die. I think it was 6 of them. I can't remember now how many friends. But it was really interesting, and you found out a lot because it turns out that this group of friends had a friend who died when they were all in high school, and they all knew something about his death that they hadn't been telling the others, and through the fact that they were being forced to relive this one day over and over again, they were able to discover the truth of his death, and it honestly brought them together because of the fact that they were able to kind of do this together and bond, and it was what they had to do really to be able to come to terms with who was going to live and who was going to die. So it was really interesting, but I did give it 4 stars just because some of it did feel a little bit odd, and some of the stuff was kind of just like, well, I don't see the logic in why they would do that particular decision. Like a couple of the characters were just going off and like playing pranks on others essentially for the day, because it didn't matter, because they replayed it at the end of the day and the people they were being mean to wouldn't remember it, and it was just like little character things like that. So 4 stars for Neverworld Wake. Then I read The Assassin's Blade, because I've read the entire Throne of Glass series but have not read this. And also I got these absolutely gorgeous dust jackets from Nerdy Ink, and as soon as I put them on the books, I was like, I need to do a reread of Throne of Glass. So I decided to start with The Assassin's Blade. I really did enjoy getting to see some of the characters who show up later in the Throne of Glass series, and seeing how Selena interacted with them and how she actually got to meet them, because a lot of them do come back later on. And so that was really interesting, but I did give it 4 stars just because I felt like some of it was a little bit like, this is just a really nitpicky thing, because I was sitting down and reading each of the novellas one right after the other, and maybe they weren't published that way, but each one kind of started with like a little summary of what had happened in the story just before. But since I literally read it as a novel and was able to read all 5 at once, I knew what had happened, and so that was a little bit annoying to me, but maybe that's a little bit nitpicky. So 4 stars for this one. And then the final book I read last month was Fable by Adrienne Young. I was actually able to get this one early because we put it out early at Barnes & Noble. Technically it didn't release until today, September 1st, but we put them out, and so I picked it up on Saturday when I was working, and I devoured it in 2 days because it was just so good. So this one was 5 stars. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, and I thought that it was really interesting. The main character is Fable, and she is abandoned on a deserted island by her father when she was young, soon after her mom died, and she fights to find a way back to where her dad is, because he told her, if you can get off of this island, I'll take you in, I'll help you out. And so she does, and things don't quite go the way that she plans, but I think that they went the way that they needed to, because by the end of the book, which is a major cliffhanger, and I'm so glad that the second book comes out in March, because if I had to wait a whole year, I would not handle that weight well. But at the end of the book, she is definitely a much stronger person than she was at the beginning, I feel, and I just feel like her character arc was really good, and I'm excited to see where she goes in book 2, which I remember right is called Namesake, and that one comes out in March, and I'm excited for that. So that was all the books I read this month. It's definitely a smaller stack than I usually get to. I just had a really hard time focusing on a book, and even though I really enjoyed a lot of the books that I read this month, I found it really hard to just sit down and read. I found myself wanting to watch Netflix or play a video game instead of just sit down and read, and so I only got through 7 books this month. So hopefully at some point my love of reading will come back and I'll be able to sit down and actually focus on a book, but school has also started up again, so I'm going to be working more now, so there goes some of my reading time. So we'll see. I might only be getting through 6 or 7 books a month now, which is fine because I hit my reading goal back in like July, so we're all good. This is all over and above the top. That sentence made no sense, but whatever. That's just where I am right now. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.